Rapunzel. Once upon a time there lived a baker and his wife. They lived about their bakery in a small village next door to a mysterious vegetable garden. The garden has thick brick walls built on all four sides to protect its vegetables from pests.
In all that time living above the bakery, the baker and his wife never met the owner of the garden, nor did they see anyone going in or out of it. However, from the window of their bedroom, they could peer down into it and go at all delicious crop growing between the walls.
The tomatoes were bright red and ripe. The cabbage was healthy and full, and the mushrooms were plump and lush. Sadly, no one ever seemed to enjoy the vegetables growing there. The crops always rot back into earth before being eaten.
The baker and his wife had much more important things to worry about than the neglected garden. They were expecting their first child.
While carrying the baby, the wife was experiencing the strongest cravings she had ever felt. Being a good husband, the baker happily fed his wife whatever it was she wanted to eat.
One day, the wife's hungry gaze fell upon the lettuce in their neighbor's garden. They were some of the juiciest garden she has ever seen. Day and night she dreamed about making a salad and straw out of the leaves. The wife craving for the lettuce increased every day until she almost died from desire.
Oh, darling, I would love nothing more than to have a bite of the delicious lettuce in our neighbor's garden, she said. Would you mind climbing the wall and bringing me back some?
You want me to steal from our garden neighbor, my dear, the baker said.
It will only go to waste if we don't eat it, the wife said. Besides, we never seen so much as a mouse next door. No one will ever know.
The baker was hesitant at first, but he was willing to do anything to be a good father and husband. He figured some mild thievery wouldn't harm anyone.
As soon as the sun set that night, the baker climbed the wall into his neighbor's garden and brought back some lettuce for his wife. She cooked it, and the happy couple enjoyed it for dinner without a care in the world. Little they know that stealing the lettuce will be the biggest mistake of their lives.
Unbeknownst to the baker and his wife, the garden next door belongs to a terrible witch, who noticed that the head of lettuce was missing as soon as it was taken. She bargained into the baker's room and caught him and his wife eating it.
Thieves, the witch yelled. How dare you steal from me? I will curse you for this.
The baker and his wife fell to their knees and begged the witch for forgiveness.
We are so sorry, the baker said. We never seen the crops in your garden harvest before.
We didn't know the lettuce would be missed, the wife said.
Fools, the witch roared. The vegetables in my garden are not meant for eating. They are meant for making potions. The letter you stole from me is called Rapunzel. When it's prepared correctly, it will bring hair back to the mouth or sight back to the blind.
Please take something of ours in exchange, the baker said.
Yes, anything you like, the wife said, but please don't curse us.
The witch was looking forward to putting a curse on their house, but their offer was very interesting.
Anything I like, you say? She asked.
Yes, anything, the baker and his wife said together.
The witch looked around their tiny home. She didn't find anything that interested her until her eyes fell upon the wife's pregnant belly. A child was something the witch has never owned before, so it was an easy decision.
I shall return when you give birth, and your child shall be mine, the witch declared.
No, the baker pleaded, anything but our child.
Do not argue with me, the witch warned. You will hand the child over to me, or I will curse you into oblivion.
2 months later, the wife gave birth to a beautiful and healthy baby girl. She had been in her mother's arms for only a few short moments when the witch returned. Although every fiber of his being urged him not to, the baker handed his newborn daughter over to her.
I shall name her Rapunzel. So, what you stole and what was stolen from you shall always be one and the same, the witch said.
She disappeared with the child, and the baker and his wife never saw her again.
The witch took the child into the middle of the wood and locked her away in the rim of a very tall tower where no one could reach her. There were no doors or stairs in the tower, just a single small window, so the witch had to climb to the tower brick by brick every day when she visited.
When the witch got older, this became a much harder and harder task, but an alternative method present itself when Rapunzel grew into a young woman.
Thanks to the magics of the lettuce her mother had consumed, Rapunzel's hair grew faster, longer, and stronger than that of all the other maidens in the land put together. When the witch came for a visit, she would call up to the tower,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Rapunzel would lower her hair, and the witch would climb it as if it were rope.
Every day during the witch visit, Rapunzel would ask her the same question.
Mother, Rapunzel called the witch, for she had never known any other. One day, when I'm older and wiser, will you let me down from this tower so I may explore the world? Absolutely.
Absolutely not, the witch replied. The world is dark and cruel place, my dear. You are much better off staying here where it's safe.
But I get so lonely in this tower all by myself, Rapunzel said.
My dear, greed is your problem, not loneliness. The reason there are maidens in this world were far less than you. They will be happy to have the protection of this tower. I will not hear any more of this nonsense. You should be grateful of the life I've given you.
Despite that, the witch said, this daily exchange didn't make Rapunzel more grateful, only more curious. She didn't believe the world was as bad as the witch made it seem. She spent all day gazing at the woods around her, dreaming about what it was like outside the tower.
Rapunzel prayed every day that she would find a way to leave the tower and have someone to leave it with. Soon an answer to her prayer arrived, but she didn't find it. It found her.
A handsome young man was wandering through the forest when he discovered Rapunzel's tower in the woods. He was a curious person himself and circled the base of the tower to find a way inside.
The witch arrived for her daily visit with Rapunzel, and the young man hid from her behind a thorn bush. She watched as she called up to the tower.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Rapunzel appeared in the window and dropped her hair for the witch to climb. The young man's heart raced upon seeing her. He had never seen a girl as beautiful as she, and she wants nothing more to climb up the tower and meet her.
He waited outside the tower and listened to Rapunzel and the witch's conversation. It was the same as it was every day. Rapunzel's requests to leave the tower were dismissed by the witch, who told her how ungrateful she was for asking.
The young man was
compelled
to save poor Rapunzel from the tower and the witch. The next day she returned to the tower with a plan to meet her. She waited for the witch to arrive and hid from view as she called up to the tower.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
The hair was lowered and the witch climbed it to the window. The witch and the young woman had the same conversation as always, and when they finished, the witch climbed down Rapunzel's hair and left the tower for her home in the village.
The young man waited until he was certain the witch was gone and then called up to the tower himself.
The witch had never. Rapunzel, 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 let down your hair.
The witch has never visited Rapunzel twice in one day. Fearing something was wrong, Rapunzel quickly lowered her hair for the collar. She never had any other guest besides the witch, so it gave her quite a scare to see the young man climb through the window.
Who are you? She asked.
Don't worry, I will not harm you, he said. Forgive me, but I saw you in this tower yesterday, and I had to meet you.
Where are you from? Rapunzel asked.
The village at the edge of the woods, he said.
The village at the edge of the woods, she said.
There is a village at the edge of the woods, Rapunzel said, and her eyes grew wide at the idea. Please, you must tell me all about it.
The young man told Rapunzel everything there was to know about his village. He told her about all the roads, shops, markets, houses, and schools. He told her about his family and his friends and how they treat one another so differently than the witch treat her.
How wonderful, Rapunzel said with a dreamy sigh.
There's a lot more that I'd like to tell you, the young man said. May I come back and visit you again?
I would love that, Rapunzel said.
Every day from now on, once the witch has come and gone, the young man will climb up Rapunzel's hair and visit her in the tower. Each day he will bring new things to show her about the world outside.
He showed her maps of his village, maps of the forest, maps of the kingdom, and maps of the known world. He brought her books and scrolls so she could read about all the places and people she has never knew existed.
If only I could leave this town and see the world with my own eyes, Rapunzel said desperately.
I'll help you leave the tower so we can travel the world together, the young man said.
But what about my mother? Rapunzel asked. She'll be half broken when I left.
A real mother doesn't keep her child locked away in a tower, he said. A real mother would want you to live and have experience. She'd want you to live, learn, and love.
And with that said, the young man kissed Rapunzel for the first time in her life. Rapunzel felt like a person and not a prisoner. She decided to leave the tower, even if it was the last thing she did.
How will I get down with our mother's noticing? He said. She said.
Leave it to me, the young man said. I will come up with something so the witch will never be wiser.
From that day forward, when the young man visited the tower, he brought Rapunzel's handsful and twin the same color as her hair. She would twist the twine into rib and then braid the rib into her hair, so the witch never find it. Once the rib was as long as her hair, Rapunzel planned to use it to climb down from the tower and be free.
At the time, it seemed that's like the perfect plan. The longer the rope became, the more Rapunzel and the young man's excitement grew.
However, the excitement made them careless, and one afternoon the young man foolishly left one of his maps behind.
The witch found the map and screamed at Rapunzel.
Tell me who's been visiting you, he demanded.
No, Rapunzel said with a quavering jaw.
Tell me now, or I will curse them when I find out who they are, the witch warned.
Just a young man from the village at the edge of the woods, Rapunzel said. Is it so wrong to have a friend?
Rapunzel burst into tears. The witch has never seen her so sad before. It was the first time the witch felt sorry for the girl, and she kneeled down to comfort her. However, all the witch's guilt quickly diminished when she stroked Rapunzel's head and found the rib braided into her hair.
You horrible, ungrateful girl, the witch yelled. After everything I've done for you, you are going to leave this tower and run off with that
scoundrel.
I will make sure you will never see each other again.
The witch left the tower and returned with an axe and roped ladder. She chopped off all Rapunzel's hair with an axe and then forced her down the ladder. The witch dragged the poor girl into the forest and abandoned her with a spot so deep in the woods she would never find her way back.
The witch returned to the tower. Discarded the ladder and the axe in the shrubbery below and waited for the young man to arrive the next day. For all he knew, Rapunzel will be freed soon. So there was an extra bounce in her step. She stood at the base of the tower and called up,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
The witch let down Rapunzel's hair for the young man to climb. When she had reached the very top of the tower, she pulled it out of her hands and knocked him down off the window ledge.
The trumpet below broke his fall, but the thorns pierced his eyes and blinded him. The young man wandered into the wilderness, not knowing in which directions he was headed.
For months and months, the young man wandered the forest blindly. Every day she called for help until his voice grew hoarse, but no one ever heard him.
Curiously, the young man and Rapunzel found each other in the woods, but she wasn't alone. Since they had been separated, Rapunzel had given birth to twins.
You are our father, she told him. We can be a family now.
The young man cried tears of both joy and pain. He was happy to have a family, but he knew he would never lay eyes on them. Rapunzel rested his head in her lap and cried with him. Her tears rolled down her face and fell into his eyes.
Once again, the magic of the Rapunzel little proved itself useful. For Rapunzel's tears gave the young man back his sight. The first thing he saw after regaining his vision was his beautiful children.
Now able to recognize the forest and around them, the young man guided Rapunzel and their children back to the village from which he had come. Once he was reunited with his old family, he and Rapunzel were married and continued a family of their own.
As for the witch,
ironically,
she had also been blind, but by anger, she was so set on punishing Rapunzel and the young man for betraying her that she had forgotten to supply herself with a way down from the tower. The witch was trapped inside it for years and years until she died.
Living a life free of the witch, surrounded by friends and family in a home that had many doors and windows, made it easy for Rapunzel and the young man to have a happily ever after. The end.